So you may have heard that I recently acquired PalmerMethod.com, and which is interesting because PalmerMethod.com was one of the first places I went to when I first started looking into improving my handwriting, relearning cursive. It was one of the first places I found, and one of the first places that I learned about the Palmer Method and about traditional American penmanship. I had no idea this whole world existed. I knew that handwriting used to be a lot more important than it is today, and that I probably would have guessed that there was schools of penmanship and kind of more advanced penmanship programs and teaching methods, but I just had no idea that anything like the Palmer Method and what Zaner and Bloser did and all the other teachers, I had no idea any of that existed. And PalmerMethod.com was one of the first places where I learned about the Palmer Method. I went on to download the Palmer Method book and spend a lot of time with that before I started learning about all the other methods that are out there, like Bailey and Champion and Zaner, and studying those as well. But Palmer Method was that first one. I think I found it when I was scrolling the handwriting community on Reddit. And that was back in 2016. It's 2021 now. I now own that website, PalmerMethod.com. Going to leave it relatively the same. I'm going to make improvements. I'm going to promote my website, PalmerMethod.com, on there. But I'm going to leave the core content relatively the same. I want to leave that there because people have linked to it. I don't want to mess up those links. But it got me thinking, it got me thinking back to 2016 when I started. And a lot of the emails I've been getting, since I've put out the PalmerMethod.com study plan video course and the intro series, I've been getting a lot of emails from people that want to learn. And over the years, I've gotten a lot of emails from people that want to learn the Palmer Method. They're interested in the Palmer Method, and just got me thinking about, why did I ever become interested in this in the first place? I could have just learned, one of the modern styles of cursive, or I could have learned a print hand. I wanted to learn something. I wanted to improve my handwriting. That was for sure. I was ashamed of my handwriting at the time in 2016, and I wanted to get my handwriting to the point where I wouldn't be ashamed of it anymore. Then I learned about the Palmer Method, and I was like, I think I want to do a little more than just develop a decent hand. I want to really get into this whole history and dive into this really what I would say more advanced traditional form of handwriting or method of handwriting. And I jumped into it, and I think what appealed to me was that everybody basically there was an old way of teaching handwriting when handwriting really mattered. The Palmer Method was written when handwriting truly mattered to society and business to a really high degree, and I wanted to learn the way that people were learning when handwriting mattered. That felt like it was right to me. That felt like it was the right way. Like there was this right way to write that people had forgotten about, and I was going to be one of the people to remember it and to learn it and to bring it back. And it kind of, to be honest, made me feel like I was special. We all want to feel special. I think that's a lot of it. And I see this in a lot of people that email me. They want to do things the right way. They want to learn to write the right way. They think that learning to write with your arm is right and learning to write with your fingers is wrong. Palmer Method is right. Other kinds of, Danielian or other types of cursive that are taught today to kids is wrong. And I had that same mindset, and it's not that that's good or bad to think that way. It's just that I've come further. I've come to a new understanding about that over the last 4 or 5 years about the Palmer Method and about what's right and wrong in penmanship. And the Palmer Method and penmanship has become a lot more to me than just doing something the right way or being special or unique. Learning to write with your arm and the Palmer Method, it's so much about getting to know your body and getting to know your mind, being able to control the movements of your body in a very delicate and detailed way. There's very few things on this planet that requires you to use large muscles like your upper arm and your back muscles to do very small detailed things. Almost any discipline, artistic discipline that you look at where you're doing small detailed things, it's always working with the fingers, the small fingers or the small muscles in your hand and your wrist to control those movements. And the Palmer method says, no, we're going to use these big muscles to do that. And that forces you to develop a super high level of control over those large muscles and to learn to use those muscles in a very subtle or delicate way, which I find super interesting. To me, I'm a golfer too, and there's a lot of that in golf too. You're using, it's obviously a big, much grosser, bigger motion, swinging a golf club, but putting, for example, is a very subtle motion, and you're using big muscles to control, a putter head that's going maybe this far back and forth. So that appeals to me. That's one big thing that I've really come to love about penmanship, as opposed to when I started, when I just wanted to be different and unique and do something that nobody else was doing. Of course, I learned that there's a lot of other people doing it. But yeah, the other thing that I've really come to love about it, and what probably the only thing that keeps me writing right now, it's not trying to get better. I've kind of come to the point where I'm satisfied with my level of penmanship. It is what it is. If I have a breakthrough and I am able to improve it to a higher degree, that'd be great. But I'm not putting the dedication or the commitment into it like that anymore as far as practicing. I mostly just write. I do some practicing, but I'm usually practicing, warming up, and then I'm writing a letter to somebody. And that's the other thing that keeps me going, is that because I've learned and developed this skill that has been largely forgotten, I'm able to share this with other people. And I know I'm giving them an experience that they're just not likely, that they've likely never had, and they likely will never have again, unless me or somebody like me writes them another letter. There's only so many of us that have really learned the Palmer method or business penmanship to a high degree in the world today. There's a lot of us trying, and you'll get there, but there's only a handful of us that are really practicing it and have developed it to a certain degree. And we're able to give people that experience that they just can't get anywhere else. Seeing live ink on paper written with the arm in a traditional way is a unique experience. And it's an experience that if we and you out there don't learn this stuff, it's an experience that's going to go away. And it's very cool. And when people love it, they love looking at this writing. They don't really quite know what's different about it. But we know what the difference is. And the difference is that it was done in that traditional, whatever method, Palmer, Bailey, Zahner method way, to produce that work. And it's a special thing to keep out there in the world. Okay. And I love that. And I love being a part of that and preserving that history. And I hope you do too. So, I don't know, just getting this website, palmermethod.com, just bring me back to the beginning here and making me think about, kind of how my motivations have changed as I've continued to learn and study and teach the Palmer method. So I just wanted to share that with you. Wanted you to think about it as well. Think about why you're getting into this. A lot of people don't think about that, whether it's handwriting or whatever endeavor they're getting into. They just kind of see it as maybe an opportunity to stand out, be unique, feel good. They don't really think about, or they don't get honest with those motivations. And I think it's good to do that from the start. And then you can watch those motivations. If you know what they are when you begin, you can see how a lot of those beginning motivations that we start with, they don't really sustain us through the practice and the study and the hard work. Those beginning motivations die off pretty quickly, and you have to find, there has to be something else there. Otherwise, you're going to be moving on to the next thing. The next artistic thing, video games, sports, the next thing you want to learn, next thing you want to read or watch. You're going to be moving on to the next thing pretty quickly if you don't have something of substance underneath those kind of more superficial motivations. So just wanted to put this out there today. Thanks for watching. I'm putting content out content out at thepalmermethod.com. I now own palmermethod.com, so you can check that out as well. But anything new and exciting will be going up at thepalmermethod.com. Of course, I have the intro series there, and now I have the study plan video course, the first ever and only at this time video course available on the Palmer Method. So check it out. Thanks for watching.